Hi, Allison. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I am well, and how are you?
Doing great. So, hello, everyone watching. I am Juliet Rudder. I am with the Healthcare Coalition of Southern Oregon, and I'm here today with Alison Hinson. And Allison, would you like to introduce yourself and the organization that you're with? Well, you're with multiple organizations, but pick one.
Sure, let's just do all of them. Good morning. So my name is Alison Hinson. I am a licensed professional counselor and a infant mental health endorsed clinical mentor in the state of Oregon. I am the Director of Behavioral Health Services with the Douglas ESD, and I am also the founder of Juniper Tree Counseling here in Douglas County. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah. No, it's frankly an honor. So, I'm actually not joking. It is. It's awesome. So, we're here today to talk about healthy attachment between infant and parent. Um, so, what is healthy attachment? What is
Great
attachment?
question. What is attachment? So, yeah, I think there's a lot of assumption around what attachment really is. When you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, attachment is essentially the emotional glue between the care provider and the baby. So it is what we like to call serve and return. So there's a sense of security where if you as a baby give a cue or indicate that you have a need, then the parent or caregiver is responsive to that need. And it teaches the child to attach or bond in a way that creates safety and security between themselves and care providers and themselves in the world. They know if I need something, somebody will save me, protect me, help me, meet my needs. And we as humans are wired for that. We are wired for social connection. We are wired to take care of our young. And in fact, from the womb and after birth, we actually have, particularly in women, a hormone called oxytocin, which spikes in both baby and mom when they're with each other and near each other. That feeling that you get when you watch something adorable, that's a boost of your oxytocin. That's your caregiving hormones, your nurturing hormones. And so we're wired to do that. And the more that we reinforce that need being met with baby and that desire for us to caretake our children, then the stronger and healthier the attachment is in our relationship with our children and their relationship with the world. So that's essentially the big oomph of attachment, healthy attachment.
That's really interesting. Like the idea that it comes from like a call and response type situation, like a level of communication. Like a lot of people think that it's just innate.
No. No, the hormones are innate. There are biological pieces that we are wired to do, but that's where I said there's a lot of assumption around attachment. Not every person who has a child or is caretaking a child immediately has an attachment, and not every child attaches immediately either. And there's many reasons for that. But there's certainly not every individual is just built the same way in how they attach to others. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of reasons for that, which we can get into if you want.
Which is actually a great, well, at least I assume it is a great segue into, so what is unhealthy attachment?
Yes, so unhealthy attachment, there's a number of different types of ways that unhealthy attachment can look. So there is avoidant attachment, for instance, and that's where you may have a caregiver who, for different reasons, is avoidant of their child and therefore not responsive, or their child is avoidant of their care provider. And so some reasons for that might be that if you have postpartum depression, for instance, that is a biological, a medical change in your hormones and your, depressive state of being, that can impact your desire or ability or interest level in being around your baby. That there's nothing wrong with that. You're not intentionally doing that. But it would be a place where we want to see some support and help mom or that caregiver, because the baby still has needs that need to be met. And so what happens is if you're too avoidant and you're too disconnected from your baby, then the baby learns to avoid you as well. They don't know how to engage with another adult, or they don't believe that their needs will be met. So if they're crying and nobody is soothing them, then they begin to experience a distrust and they begin to stop giving cues because no one's responding to those cues. So they end up creating new behaviors that create sort of an avoidant relationship with others. You also have insecure attachments. So, those are very fear-based attachments, and that could be abuse history, that can be generational abuse, or a lack of parenting that has been provided to the care provider, and then they don't know how to respond effectively to the baby. And so it ends up becoming a fear-based thing because our stress or our frustration can look a lot like anger sometimes. So if I am an exhausted parent and I'm frustrated and I don't know what to do and the baby won't stop crying and I am yelling at the baby, then that creates fear in the baby, and so that's an unhealthy, you're responding to the baby, but in an unhealthy way. So then the baby goes, oh, if I cry, then I get screamed at. And so there's this, again, this sort of disconnect that starts happening, or this fear-based relationship building. So it can show up in a lot of different ways. So we see that, like I said, as avoidance of touch or engaging, difficulty being soothed, trouble managing their emotions because what's been mirrored to them is a variety of big escalated emotions, or the avoidant parent who has no emotional reaction and is very avoidant of their child. So it depends on what the baby has experienced and what the parent or caregiver has been demonstrating for the baby, and when those cues are given, how they're responding to them. So the unhealthy attachments look different ways, but again, there's a variety of reasons for them. There's, like I said, postpartum depression, if there's substance use, anything that disrupts the ability of the care provider to be fully present to respond to the baby's needs in a healthy way can be something that is disrupting attachment and bonding between child and baby, or child and parent or caregiver. Surprisingly, one of the biggest things that is interrupting attachment right now is technology. When you think about there's a ton of research on brain development during breastfeeding, for example, that attachment building between feeding time and making eye contact with your baby while they're feeding and cooing, kind of talking to them and loving on them, that dedicated time is extremely high in hormonal bonding and all of this beautiful interaction, sort of a dance that can happen between child and parent. Even if you're bottle feeding, even if it's dad, that eye contact, the feeding, if it's grandma, whomever the care provider is. But instead we're on our phones a lot. The dopamine rush we get from being on Facebook and being distracted, our brains are getting a little rewired to be interested in other stimulation. And so we're losing these moments of bonding with baby. So it's not necessarily even, an issue of these bigger things that are present, such as, abuse or parenting skill or substance use or postpartum or any of these other major things that need treatment or support. Sometimes it's just the way that our world is working right now. We're busy, we're stressed, and we got to go, go, go. And we have a lot of technology that's disruptive. So it happens for a variety of reasons, but we want to see that turned around, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a saying that's been around for a long time. It's the little things, that count. And oh,
Sorry, power outage. That's fun.
oh,
It's back on. It's a Monday.
Monday. Yeah, but no, just all that to say, like, yeah, I mean, a lot of what you just said, like, connects with a lot of things that we've been thinking about and learning for a long time about, like, connection and how it is just like those those little things, and also like with wow, neurotransmitters is the only word that's
Mhm.
coming to mind, but like hormones and stuff like that, like, you know, reinforcing like those things that are already naturally coming up. Like, yeah, that's all really interesting and a little bit heartbreaking at the same time, because, you know, when it comes to depression, like, it's not even something that, you know, you can fully control, at least not in the moment, you know, and like that's something that, you know, you're trying to get these hormones going, and yet your brain is like rewiring you to do something else. Like that's got to be really rough. So
Yeah.
I mean, that brings up like another point, like how do people get help for garnering healthy attachment, no matter what might be, you know, going on in the background?
Yeah, so there's a variety of things that you can do, particularly to strengthen endorsement, or not endorsement, excuse me, endorphins and healthy attachment. And what I would say is, you know, the basis of it is um, young children to learn to trust the world need consistency and nurturing. And you know, again, it's as simple as, for most of the day, there's this sort of this, I can't remember which researcher coined the term, but it's sort of the 80% rule, you know, or doing well enough. So if most of the day, the parent is responsive to what the baby needs. If the baby cries, the baby gets picked up and rocked. You know, if the baby is hungry, the baby is fed. If, you know, parent is talking nicely to the baby most of the day, you are not going to break your baby if you have a moment and you just kind of lose your stuff for a minute and then you come back later and do a repair, you know. So if most of the time the baby is receiving consistent messaging of being cared for, nurtured, and loved, you're really not going to see as much um, damage to the bond or the relationship as you would think you would. But that being said, outside of just recognizing a cue and responding to the cue, um, it's building yourself your support network. Parenting is hard no matter who you are, no matter how skilled you are. I will speak to that. Like, you will eat your humble pie whenever. So I think the conversation needs to be is recognizing when you need some help, when you need support. And that can be asking for, you know, the neighbor to come over, someone else to come over and help you, your spouse, letting your spouse know where you're at, that you might need extra support, or your partner. Um, and then, but also, you know, there are a number of agencies available to specifically support, like helping recognize whether this is healthy attachment, helping you build skills on that, or develop different techniques that you can do that are pretty usually pretty easy to learn, pretty fast to learn. So for instance, your organization, you know, a Healthy Start, uh, Take Root Parenting does a lot of early parenting classes. Community Uplift is a great referral form for, if just saying, hey, I don't know how I'm doing with my baby, we're not connecting, or I'm fearful I'm not connecting, or I need some extra help. Plenty of organizations, Early Head Start, Family Development Center, Compass Behavioral Health. Here at Juniper Tree, we specialize in 6 and under. You know, so there are a number of places that you can say, hey, I need support. I'm not sure what's happening with me and my baby. And all of us would love to just wrap around and say, what can we do? And let's take a look at it.
Yeah, and I super appreciate you calling out like some of those organizations and resources. Like, but just for simplicity's sake, like, where would you suggest that someone start?
So, I mean, particularly if they have, you know, concerns around so depression or postpartum or substance use, then you're going to want to look at Compass, Juniper Tree, Adapt. Any of those places will treat what we would consider a mental health disorder and or screen to see if you qualify and or support you during recovery if you are looking to become sober to caretake for your child. If you are looking for basic information on like, hey, I'm a new parent and this is new to me and I want to just make sure I'm doing it right, then I would look at Take Root and the Parenting Hub and looking at just taking some really basic classes and saying like, this is that beginning information you may not know, because when you're new at parenting, it's a whole new ball game, whole new world. So you don't know what you don't know, but you can always know more. So
Love that.
I would love to see people just take the classes just to be the best parent they can be.
Yeah, for sure. Super, super appreciate that. And I will go ahead and post those links for those organizations into the comment section so that y'all have access to them. Super, super, super appreciate your time, Allison. Are there any final words, any last things you want the people to know?
I would just say that there is so much of our own parental guilt that we do, so much worry, so much, am I doing it right? That I would just give permission to any parents who view this or care providers who are viewing this to say you're doing the best that you can. If you love your baby, you love your baby. That's all you can do. You're probably doing everything you can to the best of your ability. If you are a professional who's viewing this, I would say please just keep an eye out for those concerns where you see the baby isn't necessarily responding to parent or parent isn't really responding to baby. And you just kind of highlight that, because that may be untreated depression, or that may be a knowledge area that could be expanded to really support the health of the baby and the parent and the relationship that they have as they go out into the world together. So I think that's what I would say.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Super, super appreciate your time today. And I'm going to let you go back to helping all those people either via Zoom or in person or however y'all are doing that right now. I'm sure that you're all taking COVID into consideration. And so I don't want people to worry about that when they're seeking help. Like, these organizations are looking out for your safety.
Absolutely. Yep. All of these organizations I'm listing offer multiple avenues of either telehealth or by phone or in person. And if you're in person, they're following all of the COVID safety guidelines. So whatever your personal preference for assistance is, there are multiple avenues to getting it. So please don't let that be a barrier to you.
Fantastic. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and sign us out. Have a great day, everyone watching, and hope you found this useful. Have a great day.
Thank you.